Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's broadcast. We are talking about movies tonight. That's right. But we're not just talking about movies, we're talking about theories about movies. And where do these theories come from? They come from the annals of Reddit. Did I say that right? Did I use annals correctly? You got to be careful how you pronounce annals. Got to say it just right. We're going to analyze some annals of Reddit. That's what we're going to do. That sounded really dirty. It's not that dirty. So we're talking about we're talking about Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction. Some would say that Pulp Fiction is one of the greatest movies of the 90s, probably would be in the list of greatest movies of all time, right? I love Pulp Fiction. Who doesn't like Pulp Fiction? It's one of those movies where, it's both like saturated mono pop culture, but at the same time, it's great for a reason. There's a reason why it is so great because it's Pulp Fiction. Hello. I'm in there's a subreddit for fan theories, and I really like it. Every once in a while, someone comes up with something really interesting and thought-provoking. And my favorite fan theories are the ones that really sort of what they do is they challenge the viewer, whoever is watching, to just adjust their thinking, meaning you don't have to add or subtract anything from what's already on the screen. You just have to sort of adjust how you are seeing something to see it in a completely different light. Does that make any sense? So this fan theory is posed by a person named Survivor Triple H, and they are suggesting here that Vincent Vega, played by John Travolta, Vincent Vega was supposed to kill Mia Wallace, played by Uma Thurman, not take her out for a milkshake. So if you've seen the movie, you know that Marcellus Wallace is the boss. He's a mafioso of some variety. He's an underworld gangster of some, and that's the thing about Tarantino's gangsters. They're just very generic. We don't really know what it is that they have their hands in. We just know that they are underground underworld mafiosos, gangsters of some variety. They make good money doing illegal things. I mean, in the case of Wallace, we know that Marcellus Wallace, played by Ving Rhames, he's pressuring a boxer, Butch, to throw a fight, right? That's so gambling, or what would you call that? Is that racketeering? I don't know. Don't quote me on that. In any case, he's a gangster, and he is very protective of his wife, his paramour, Mia Wallace. And the last guy that was sort of taking care of Mia while Wallace was sort of jet setting around the world to doing whatever it is that he was doing, he got thrown out of a window by Marcellus Wallace because he gave her a foot rub. And I guess that's sort of Tarantino's way of telling us, look at how, gnarly, look at how bad this dude is. This is what he does when, he feels threatened in some way, shape, or form, when, his wife is doing something that, or somebody's doing something to his wife that he doesn't like. Mind you, he didn't do anything to Mia herself. He does something to the guy who's giving her a foot rub, and one could argue that it takes two to tango and whatnot, but I don't know. I'm not here to play that game or not play that game. And okay, somebody posed this idea that Wallace wanted Vega to murder Mia when he says take her out. So it's a literal change. It's literally changing the meaning of the words. It's not changing anything in the script at all. And like I said, I really like stories that do that sort of allow you to just look at the writing from a completely different angle without changing anything, as opposed to, hey, do me a favor, picture this whole thing that's happening off screen and then plug it into what you're seeing. No, that this is just a different interpretation, same exact thing. It doesn't require any extra brain power, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? I don't have to sit there. I don't have to think about this thing that, I don't have to think about any sort of extra stuff that's not like extended universe or, something that was written on the side or written in a form. It's like, hey, we're just reinterpreting the dialogue, how it was presented by the original writers of Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery. So, what is the theory? Well, before I tell you what it is, I just want to quickly tell you about our sponsor, Riot Stickers. If you need stickers, you got to go to riotstickers.com. That's right. You can get 1,000 stickers for $79. You can't beat that deal. These stickers are 3 inches by 3 inches. So if you want to get some stickers of Vincent Vega and Mia Wallace dancing at Jackrabbit Slims, you can get that done through Riot Stickers. You talk to Sharpie Riot. He's going to set you up just the way that you need to be set up. You get free shipping and handling. You can't go wrong. riotstickers.com. We'll be right back after a brief message, and then we are going to dive into how this fan theory works, and you tell me if it holds any water.
Posters and promo cards, there's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads, we can print on shirts, we can print on hats, we can print on pants. Cheap prices and high quality, quick turnaround times and free shipping. We also offer free artwork support, great customer service, and so much more. We are the bomb. RiotStickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb.
And that is a promise. Okay, let's dive into this. As all the YouTubers say, hey, let's dive right into it. Okay, so this is what our friend Survivor Triple H says. Fan Theories Reddit. I've been rewatching Pulp Fiction and I can't shake this theory. Vincent Vega's real job that night wasn't just to quote unquote take Mia Wallace out for dinner. It was to kill her. And the entire sequence is him completely misunderstanding Marcellus's orders. Here's why I think this holds up. And this is my favorite thing about these theories is like, it's one thing to say the thing, but to actually back it up with what is there. Number one, Marcellus has a serious motive. We all know that Marcellus is insanely possessive. The whole quote unquote foot massage story shows how far he'll go. Even with perceived disrespect, he tossed a guy out a window just for that. Now fast forward to him catching Mia actually cheating, or at least doing more than a foot massage. She basically hints as much when she snarks at the rumor, downplaying it with a smirk instead of a denial. So the idea that the foot massage wasn't really a foot massage at all, and that it was a lot more than a foot massage was infidelity, and that Marcellus knew that, and that he threw the guy out the window as a result. To a guy like Marcellus, a wife who cheats on him doesn't just embarrass him, she weakens his standing in a world where reputation is everything, because he's an underworld gangster. A woman he can't control becomes liability. Now, here's an additional question that I didn't think of until just now. Does the golden briefcase play into this fan theory at all in any way, shape, or form? Because Marcellus Wallace is after the golden briefcase. We don't know what's inside the golden briefcase. I think Quentin Tarantino said, "You're not meant to know. It's just a MacGuffin." You know what a MacGuffin is? It's a plot device that has no significance other than it drives the plot forward. It's the floppy disk with the secret plans on it. It is the diamonds. It is the microchips that are guidance systems for missiles that are going to blow up and infect everybody with flesh-eating gas. You know what I mean? How does that play into all of this? Some people there's another theory out there that it's Marcellus Wallace's soul, and the Band-Aid on the back of his neck is where his soul had leaked out. That was always the running idea in the 2000s when talking about Pulp Fiction, when you were sort of exchanging, pop culture currency and discussing Pulp Fiction and theories about Pulp Fiction. So the second point of this fan theory, Marcellus leaves town conveniently. Maybe he left for legitimate business, the butch fight, betting, etc. But maybe it also doubles as an alibi. Before leaving, he gives an order to Vincent, freshly back from Amsterdam after 3 years. What's the order? Take her out. So the theory here is all based on this sort of this this fulcrum of the idea of him just misunderstanding what take her out means. And that's what I'm saying. You don't have to alter anything about what is already written in order to think this way. And that's what I think is so brilliant about it. I love that stuff. And Vincent, who's not exactly the sharpest hitman in the shed, just nods and rolls with it. No clarification, no questions. So Marcellus says, take her out. And he could literally be saying, hey, take my wife out and not take her out on the town, which would really be fitting for Quentin Tarantino and would really sort of, I think, add a whole extra layer to the situation. It's like you get everything that's already present, but then it just brings an extra layer. That I don't know. I like it. Jules, played by Samuel Jackson, who's a way more seasoned hitman, immediately assumes that quote unquote take her out means murder. His first reaction when Vincent tells him is to make a finger gun to the head. He gets it. Vincent doesn't. All right. So it's been a while since I've seen Pulp Fiction, and I did not review it before hopping on here to dissect this fan theory. So I don't remember that specifically, but it is a nice subtle detail, and it totally tracks and works with the theory. 3, Mia expects Vincent, but not why. It makes sense that Marcellus told Mia something like, don't worry, Vincent's going to look after you while I'm gone. No red flags for her. By the time Vincent shows up, she's casually getting ready for dinner, thinking it's just a protection detail with perks. See, this is where I slightly deviate and disagree. I don't think she thinks that it's a protection detail. I think she probably just assumes, oh, this is my husband using one of his goons to keep an eye on me. And you know what? I'm going to have a great time. And maybe I'll even have a great time with him right under his nose, just as an extra sort of, fuck you or whatever. So the idea is not so much of a protection detail, but as a chaperone to make sure that she is staying out of trouble in that kind of way. And she has other ideas. Number 4, Vincent's pattern, and they have a really great time. They go to Jack Rabbit Slims. They order $5 shakes, which is a deal in the year 2025. That's a deal 31 years later to get a $5 shake. They win the trophy and they dance and they have a wonderful night. And Vincent, who's like, sees that, he can hit this if he wanted to, is telling himself in the mirror, like coaching himself through of like, hey, you need to get out of here. Tell her, wish her a good night. And it's kind of funny how he's just going to leave her alone, and leave her to her own devices. And if he really was meant to be her chaperone, you would think that he would have to kind of continue to be there even when he drops her off at the apartment. But in any case, he's leaving. He's trying to avoid temptation. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't think protection detail is exactly the right word here, or the right frame for this. 4, Vincent's pattern, or at least interpretation, because like we're interpreting what's already there. We're not trying to change it. We're not trying to augment it. We're just interpreting what we see on the screen. And both of those are valid interpretations, although I think mine is a little bit more accurate. Number 4, Vincent's pattern fits perfectly. Vincent has a clear character flaw. He assumes that he understands instructions and never asks questions. He mouths off to the wolf instead of listening. He forgets his gun when he's staking out Butch. He mishandles the OD situation with Mia. He's not dumb, but his ego outpaces his IQ, which makes this misunderstanding 100% in character. And again, it's all there. It's all there. It makes the interpretation valid. 5, why Vincent and not the wolf? Very simple. This is also valid. The wolf is a cleaner. Vincent is a hitter, right? Vincent is trusted. He's back from Amsterdam. He's got low heat and he's available. Whereas the wolf is a high in demand cleaner who's, around, doing his thing. He's wearing fancy tuxedos and crossing town in a very short time. 6, why isn't Vincent punished more? Meaning, like, when everything happens with me. Well, wait a minute. What is he referring to? Because Marcellus doesn't, they vow to keep it a secret. What happens, bringing her back to life and everything. They keep that a secret. Let's see what he says. By the time Marcellus returns, the Butch situation explodes, right? Jules has retired and Marcellus is stretched thin and losing manpower fast. He probably has a private chat with Vince. Like, so this is where he's starting to elaborate a little bit. So the first few points is like really like interpreting what's already there. This is sort of a little bit of an embellishment. This is what I meant by stepping outside of what we know and are factually know. He's speculating here, and he's saying probably has a private chat with Vincent. Like, you must be the dumbest mother effer on earth. You were supposed to take her out, and you actually took her out for a milkshake. So it's the idea that he's speculating that after the whole situation with Mia still alive, that perhaps Marcellus has actually laid into Vincent and been like, dude, when I said take her out, I meant take her out, not take her out, which would totally be like a Tarantino-esque line. I could just totally picture Ving Rhames being like, when I said take her out, I meant take her out, not take her out, and just have, John Travolta nodding. Now we're deviating into fan fiction. This is, again, not my favorite. Like, I think the best fan theories don't do fan fiction. They take what is there and they just reinterpret it and give new meaning to what is already there. But we're deviant. We're going off the track here. He says that the fan theorist says Marcellus Wallace is pissed, but maybe he's too busy to deal with him right away. Instead, Vincent gets demoted to staking out Butch's apartment. We're assuming that he gets demoted. We don't actually know whether he gets demoted, where karma catches up with him anyway. Final thought, the irony. If Vincent had let Mia die that night, when she took too much of the H, it would have been the perfect clean cover story. Marcellus might have even promoted him for the quote unquote accident. Instead, he saves her and blows the whole thing. So again, that, deviating a little bit into the fan fiction there. It's possible. I mean, it's possible. It's possible. That's an assumption based on the assumption. And the assumption is that Marcellus wanted to take out his own wife. I know this flips what most people assume about the movie, but honestly, it makes a lot more sense than Marcellus randomly letting his best looking hitman wine and dine his wife while he is out of town. I have to agree with that. And, that's the beautiful thing about like plots and structure. And here's a great example. We're going to use another Quentin Tarantino movie as an example. In the same way that this person is theorizing, why would he let his best looking hitman, assuming that is his best looking hitman, wine and dine his wife while he's out of town? It's because he wanted her to get taken out. That's a very good assumption. Another great rhetorical question that leads to a conclusion that's similar but not the same is in Reservoir Dogs. Why does Mr. White do what he does for Mr. Orange? Why is he willing to turn on people that he did time for in jail? It's like kind of like a logic puzzle. The answer is he is in love with Mr. Orange. Mr. Orange and Mr. White are star-crossed lovers. That explains why they do what they do. That explains why when Mr. Orange, because I'm asking myself, when Mr. Orange is dying, right? He's dying in the arms of Mr. White. He's bleeding out. He's about to be rescued by the police. All he's got to do is just keep his powder dry while they come in and arrest Mr. White. And what does he say to Mr. White? He tells him the truth. He says, I'm a cop. And what does Mr. White do? He ends Mr. Orange. Like straight up Romeo and Juliet style. Why does he tell him that? Why would he do that? Because of friendship? No. It's love, man. It's love. Those dudes love each other. They fell in love And in the process, Mr. White does what he needs to do in order to save Mr. Orange. And Mr. Orange does what he needs to do to come clean to Mr. White because he loves him so much. And, all you got to do is ask yourself, why did they take the actions that they do? And there's only one real logical explanation: love. And I think it's a similar sort of rhetorical question here. Why does Marcellus Wallace let his hitman wine and dine his wife while he's out of town? Especially when he knows her to be the way that she is, would love to hear what others think. Am I crazy, or is this hiding in plain sight? Let's see what people think. I'd like to hear in the comments if anybody has a comment. If anybody's watching this live and wants to weigh in, let's hear what you have to say. As to point 3, Mia knew that Marcellus had told Vincent to take her out. She says as much whenever Vincent doesn't want to dance. My husband, your boss, told you to take me out and do whatever I want, and I want to dance, or something to that effect. I don't remember the exact quote. So that is, but that's Mia interpreting take her out, not what Marcellus necessarily thought. Somebody responds, I figure that Marcellus thought that Mia believed Jules was the second best looking. This is between you all. I don't get that. These theories are usually reaching, and some are pretty silly, but yours is giving me a whole new outlook on the movie. Good work. That's awesome. Somebody agrees with them. Someone says, yeah, I came here to shit on the OP for being an idiot, but I read the post and now I feel stupid for never even considering this. And it's easily one of my most favorite and most viewed films. Interesting. You love to see the occasional good fan theory. Well thought out. The reasons stated plainly and convincingly in list form makes complete sense with the characters and the world of the movie. I mean, I really truly have to agree. I think that this theory is pretty airtight. Someone says, you did a really good job. The only thing that goes against it is that Butch runs into Marcellus right next to his apartment, and he's carrying 2 drinks, implying that he was on stakeout with Vincent, which would mean that it's not a punishment duty. Right. But again, that piece of it doesn't apply because that was speculation. That was pure speculation. That's not interpreting what's already there. That's just speculation. He was carrying 2 cups of coffee and a box of donuts. That's movie code for on a stakeout. Yeah, very true. And plus, he would want to be there to get Butch, right? It is also implied that Marcellus likes Vincent and Jules. Even if Vincent failed his task, Marcellus would just cough it up to Vincent being an idiot. The problem with Butch is more important too. So Marcellus would ignore the failure for now and probably try again next time. Yeah. Also, Butch is pissed at Vincent and Marcellus having good relationship. Marcellus talks to Butch like a doormat, as does Vincent when he calls him Punchy and Palooka. Meanwhile, Marcellus daps up Vincent like that's his boy. Butch is pissed. So what does he do? He keys the Malibu. Vincent mentions that he had it out of storage for 3 days and someone keyed it. It's a good fan theory and people seem to agree with it. Marcellus throwing a guy out the window had nothing to do with the massage. Mia says that the only time the guy touched her was when they shook hands at her wedding. We are supposed to take that at face value. She has no reason to lie about it. Vincent and Jules specifically discuss take care of her before they bust into Brett's apartment for some big kahuna burgers. Vincent says, well, Marcellus is leaving for Florida, and while he's gone, he wants me to take care of Mia. And Jules says, take care of her? Vincent says, not that. Take her out. Show her a good time. Don't let her get lonely. Jules says, you're going to be taking Mia Wallace out on a date? Vincent says, it ain't a date. It's like when you and your buddy's wife go to a movie or something. It's just, good company. It's not a date. But it's interesting what Jules says. He says, you're going to be taking Mia Wallace out on a date, as if to say, you think that that's what you're going to be doing when you're taking her out. That's not what he meant, meaning that Jules does understand. Here's someone who disagrees. This whole hypothesis is weakened, if not invalidated, because when Jules and Vincent go into Marcellus's club with the briefcase, the bartender says to Vincent, "So I hear you're taking Mia out tomorrow." I find it very unlikely that Marcellus would make it public that he was asking Vincent. That's very true. That's very, very true. But let's assume for a minute that the bartender is a trusted henchman of Marcellus and that he did confide in him. That also is possible. Vincent goes on. See, this is speculation, but within the framework. Vincent goes on to say, "I'm going to sit across from her, chew my food with my mouth closed, and laugh at her fucking jokes, and that's it." If Vincent was wildly mistaken as to the meaning of taking Mia out, and the bartender knew what the plan was, why didn't he tell Vincent that's not what take her out meant? Or at least why didn't he suggest that Vincent talk to Marcellus to clarify what he was asking him to do? All signs point to the request simply being a way getting Mia out of the house and not being bored while Marcellus is out of town. I mean, at the end of the day, that's probably what it is. That's what it is. That what's in the movie is probably what it is at face value. This is just an interesting way of looking at it. It doesn't mean that it's valid. And I'm sure if you said that to Quentin Tarantino and be like, yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool theory, but that's not what I meant. Like it probably is not. It's still interesting. It's still interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I think Tarantino said he wanted to do the classic trope of the underlying having to take the boss's wife out while he's away. He spoke about this. It was brought up during the movie. No, show her a good time. You remove all the suspense of his impending doom for Vincent if she dies. There would be no consequence if Marcellus found out. It ruins the scene now. That's the ultimate truth right there. So the reality is, as fun as this, it's a fun fan theory to sort of speculate on, but it all works. What's there up on the screen, what's there on the page, the way we've always read it is probably what it is. It is what it is. Someone says Vincent didn't forget his gun. That was Marcellus's gun while he was out getting coffee and donuts. Mia said there was never a foot massage, and that the balcony issue was between the guys. She doesn't know why he did it. Someone says this does not make more sense. The boss having a henchman take his wife out is a common movie trope, and Tarantino loves doing his own version of movie tropes. Similar things happen in real life. See Ryan O'Neal and Farrah Fawcett. Ignoring that your first point is disproven by Mia and Paul the bartender also made it. All right. So that's it. What do you all think? What do you think of this theory? Does it hold any water for you? What would you change about it? Like, what would you reinterpret it if you had to reinterpret this? I'm interested to know. Tell me your thoughts. Thank you so much, and we'll see you real soon. Check out Behind the Chud. If you're a Patreon or a YouTube member, check out Behind the Chud. It is it's a really fun video that I made about my experiences working with a chud. How about that? Peace, hair grease. We'll see you next time.